Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Dice Tower Q&A. I'm Tom Vasel, and I'm back. I just got back actually a couple hours ago here on a flight from Las Vegas. So if I fall asleep in the middle of this Q&A, that's why. The guys did a good job holding the fort down on Friday. I saw there was lots of Q&As, lots of people interacting with folks. I hope you had a good time. I was in Vegas to work on preparations and getting prepared for Dice Tower West, which is happening the first week of March. We have a brand new venue, which we'll be announcing and giving more information about in a couple weeks. In August 2nd, I believe, we'll make those announcements, and registration for the con will be opening up in September. So we'll talk more about that as time goes. This is Q&A. You can ask stuff, and we'll answer your questions here. When I say will, I guess I mean the royal we, because it's just me. So if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll get started. Let's see here. Well, maybe people can't hear me because I'm not seeing anything, any questions. Oh, you said you missed me? Well, that's very nice of you to say, but I'm sure the guys handled it quite well without me. Besides, they had things. What was the best thing I ate in Vegas? I went to a Korean barbecue, and it was very good. That was it was very nice. I do think a couple pounds were at it in Vegas. I walked 20,000 steps a day when I was there, but I'm back to a very strict diet now that I'm back here. Had my fun, but what MCU film are you most looking forward to seeing over the next year? The Spider-Man one, for sure, right now. Did I play any slots in Vegas? I did not gamble at all when I was in Vegas. What's the process of assigning games to reviewers? Different people grab different games. So Z will grab the games he's interested in. Mike will grab the ones he's interested in. Chris, I'll grab the ones I'm interested in. So, I mean, it's not necessarily assigning. I do have dibs in some ways if I really want to review a game. How much time do you get to learn it? How do you decide who? Yeah, okay. Where do they take the game to learn it? Wherever they want, you know. So, I mean, people can play them wherever they want to. Do I enjoy pretzels and ice cream together? That's okay. I don't think it's like amazing. I like pretzels. Sometimes when I do ice cream sundae toppings, I'll have some crushed pretzels that some people put on. And a pretzel cone is fine. I don't mind pretzels with ice cream, but it's not like it's not like cookies and ice cream, which is amazing. What old game have you enjoyed playing recently? Well, let's see. Old. I just played Doodle Quest. That's an older game that I thought was a lot of fun. Have you ever tried playing a board game on a plane? I played a few small ones on a plane before. I've definitely played games on an app on the plane. Sometimes I'll play Ticket to Ride with the person next to me or something like that. How's the studio? Is it still in order? Yes. I'm constantly trying to make it look better. Is there a particular place you purchase your fedoras? No, not particularly, although this is a new one. I don't often get new hats, but this one I got from a store in Vegas called Hatitude. So I just thought it was a nice color. I didn't have this particular color. Let's move this up here so I don't have to move so much. Let's see here. I'm super excited for Era 2 Book 4 and Stormlight Book 5, as I'm sure you are. Do you have anything specifically you're looking for or things you might think will happen? No. I like to see, what's his name, reunite it with his children in a proper way. But in the Stormlight Archives, and I know that's what you're talking about, Stormlight Archives, I just reread Book 4, and I'll reread it again right before they release Book 5, just so I'm not lost. I don't know what I want to happen. I'm enjoying the ride. How is the con prep going? Quite busy, actually. What is your grail hat? The hat you really want and are always on the lookout for? Well, I'm looking for a sky blue fedora or trilby. I have one that's almost sky blue. Just various shades of colors I don't have. Let's see here. Are you satisfied with the spectacular? Yes. I mean, there's always things that we have a discussion after spectacular. We immediately had a meeting as soon as it was over, just to talk about how things went, because we always want to make things better. And just today I was saying, this I want to change for the next spectacular. The next spectacular, the autumn spectacular, is going to be a 3-day event instead of 4, but the days will be longer, and there's going to be some horror theming in there. So hopefully you enjoy that. Let's play some spooky games. How about a subject from the top 10 book? I don't want to today. Ask me next week. It's all the way across the room there, and I'm still tired from my trip in Vegas. Sorry. Can you briefly explain the difference between a Tcg, Lcg, and Ccg? So the first one, trading card game, and the last one is collectible card game. They are literally the same thing. But at some point, I think Wizard of the Coast, this is just me positing an opinion here, I think Wizard of the Coast changed that. They wanted things to be called trading card games because it sounds better than collectible card games. That's what I think, but they're literally the same thing. LCG is a living card game, and that moniker is owned by Fantasy Flight Games. However, other publishers have done something, they might just call it different. So in a collectible card game or a trading card game, you buy decks of cards, which may or may not be set, but the booster packs are always random. So they have random cards, and you build them. A living card game, there's nothing random. You still buy packs of cards, but you can mix or match them, so there's no rare cards. All cards are the same level of rareness per se. So that's basically the difference. Do you think there would be room on the Dice Tower for a dedicated rules instruction series? Sure. Well, we got Tim Chu on doing it occasionally, but it's a lot of work to do those. Will you review Coffee Trader? So I will put in here my thing always that I do not normally answer these questions, or like people say, what do you think about a particular game? Because that's the point of the reviews. That being said, the answer to this question is yes. Have you kept up with the Disney Marvel TV shows? Yes. And if so, what do you think of them? I reviewed 2 of them on the Board Game Breakfast, where I review other things. And the third one, Loki, I'll be reviewing this coming Monday. I'll be talking about it. What is the best game to bring while backpacking? A wallet full of cash to get you out of backpacking and back into society. For me, I'm not a backpacker, so sorry. Another weird food combo for you to try: sweet bologna and peanut butter. No. Sorry, doesn't sound good at all. Where do I ultimately post my review scores? Most of your reviews don't seem to include a numerical score. Well, I do put the numerical score. So there's a few places. We have an internal document in which I put the internal score. I then put them in the weekend reviews. So if you look at our weekend review video, all the games we reviewed have a score. And then eventually I add them to Board Game Geek. I don't do it all the time. Sometimes months will go by. But eventually I will go back and add in all my scores to Board Game Geek. You know what? I'm going to put this in the FAQ. I have to. For Seal of Excellence approval, you only need 1 review over 6 or 8. What if one gives a 6.5, another 8.5? We'll get the Seal of Excellence anyway? Yes. But again, I say this all the time. It's always been that way. You just haven't seen it. I love Cosmic Encounter. I gave Cosmic Encounter a 10 out of 10. Guess what? The other guys don't give it that high of a score. But it's going to get the Seal of Excellence from me because I think it's a fantastic game. I don't care if they all gave it a 1. If we did it that way, then almost no games would ever get seals of excellence because someone might not like it. We're not averaging games out because then we would call them the seals of averaging. If one person really likes it, then that's what we do. And so you only notice it because we have more people talking in the reviews now. But normally it doesn't. If Z reviews the game and gives a seal of excellence, there's a possibility I didn't like it that much. Have I ever marched in a parade? No, I don't think so. Do the words drum and bugle corps mean anything to you? Yes? There's some weird questions today. Do you have more hats than games? No. I have way more games than hats. Have you seen the new Magic the Gathering D&D set? It has cards where you roll a D20 for effects. Yes, I have seen that, and I'm getting them. I'm getting some of this new stuff because it looks a lot of fun. Have you ever considered including more commentary and game pricing in your reviews like you do in crowd surfing? No, and in fact, I want to be really clear, we will not do this. The only time we mention price in reviews is when the price of a game is very high or very low, that it makes a big difference. Other than that, we don't, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, the main one is the fact that if you watch your review a little bit later, it doesn't make any sense. In crowd surfing, we talk about it because you are backing those projects right now. But a game you might watch a review a year later, the game might be discount everywhere, so the price doesn't matter. Or it might be out of print and hard to find, so the price doesn't affect it that much. The other reason is because I don't know what's expensive for you or not. A game that you might consider to be expensive might not be expensive for somebody else. So I'm just not going to mention price point all the time. I also think it would be a very boring part of the review. Do you have a Dice Tower business credit card? Yes. Thoughts on Loki's ending? Come back Monday, board game breakfast. How would you describe Dice Tower West in terms of feel atmosphere to someone who's never attended? It is all about playing games. So Dice Tower West 1 and 2, and before that it was MeepleCon for several years, just about playing games, getting together, huge library games, playing games for 5 straight days, 24 hours. Who irons your shirts? They always look so nicely pressed. You know, actually, I was thinking about this yesterday because I was in a hotel. I was ironing my shirt, and I thought, I hate shirts you have to iron. These shirts, and I'm really sad about most of my shirts I'm about to have to get rid of because they're from Korea. They were custom tailor made for me for a fairly inexpensive price 20 years ago. The shirts are wearing out. This shirt, I just happened to get it off Amazon. But I always look for wrinkle-free shirts. That's basically it. I hate ironing. My wife is not a big fan of it either. How often do you get surprised that you sound just like your own dad or mom when talking to your kids? I'm not really surprised by it. I just expect that to happen at some point. Thoughts on small expansions being released simultaneously. 2 Draftosaurus expansions are tiny, and the majority will buy both. Pumps the price up unnecessarily. You don't know that, though, John. How do you know the majority buys both? I don't think that's necessarily true. The fact that first of all, I've bought neither of them. And if I do get one, I might get both because I might review them. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to get them. I just played Draftosaurus the other day. I was teaching some people. We had 5 people for a game, and I was like, oh, Draftosaurus works. We played it. It was fun. And after we played it, I said, I don't know that this game even needs expansions. But that being said, I would rather them make multiple smaller expansions that you can pick and choose from than one big expansion and you might not like part of it. There's a lot of games that have these big expansions. Like, for example, Roll for the Galaxy came with a $90 expansion. And they said, hey, the reason we made it as big expansion is because it would have cost more money if you bought them separately. But you know what? 2/3 of that giant expansion, I'm going to hardly ever use. So I would have preferred they sold smaller ones because then I could just get the one I wanted. Do you think Gloomhaven is overhyped? No. Do you dislike blasphemy in games? Yes. For boxes without inserts, do you put the rulebook in first or last? Sometimes both. Not sure. What did you do on the flights to entertain yourself? Well, on the way back, since the flight left Las Vegas at midnight and landed here at 7:30 a.m., I tried to sleep the entire time. Otherwise, I usually mess with my iPad. I'll listen to music, I'll read books, I'll play video games. Those are the three things I do. My opinion on the winners of the Spiel des Jahres. So Spiel des Jahres, Micro Macro won the Spiel des Jahres. That's a good game. And Paleo won the Kennerspiel. I think those are good choices for those games. Those are my thoughts. I might have more thoughts later. How come Super Mega Lucky Box got only a seal of approval rather than excellent? Your review was so positive. How would light family games get the high scores? Because a seal of approval is really good. Let me look here, Super Mega Lucky Box. I'm looking at my internal document here. I don't know. It just was good. I mean, 8 is pretty high. I'm not going to argue over that rating for a game. They're like, how can a little filler game get a 10 out of 10? For me, I don't know if any of them can. That's just how that works. Did you stay near the Strip or closer to Meepleville? Yes. Lots of steps. I'm guessing you cruised the Strip at least a little. Yes. Although it was not. The cruising the Strip was not fun for me much at all because I was by myself much of the time, and I do not enjoy being by myself on any kind of trip or not. I walked around, I bought a hat, ate some food, but most of the time I was helping out getting ready for Dice Tower West. What's my favorite form of Groot? Baby Groot. Have you ever been to Hershey Park? You know, I never did. For some reason, we never went there when we were kids. There was one time my brothers and sisters had an opportunity to go, and they did. I never got to go to Hershey Park. I really wanted to go, but it never happened. Do you remember your college GPA? I do. It seems like games are way more behind the release dates this year, even more than last year. Yes, but that's because there's a container shortage and shipping prices have gone up tremendously. There's going to be lots of games that are delayed, and while many times it's the publisher's fault, in this case, it's not. How's the fingerbot? It's garbage. Where are you using it? Nowhere. Do you mind if players drink alcohol when gaming with you? If you have guests over to play games, would you ask that they refrain? I don't allow alcohol here in the Dice Tower studios, so if it's at my house, also same thing. I have played games with people who are drinking before in public places where it's allowed, which isn't that many places. But it's happened before. It's okay. I definitely dislike it. I think alcohol makes people act loopy. The more alcohol, the more loopy. I don't necessarily want to play with loopy people. You know, there a lot of times people are like, this game would be fun to play after a few drinks. That's always code for, this game is bad. Because if you need drinks to enjoy a game, it's not good. This is not an anti-alcohol rant, although I'm not a huge fan of alcohol. But I will say when people drink and play games, I find them less fun to play with. That's all. What was my favorite memory of my trip to Singapore and Malaysia? In Malaysia, we went to the amusement park at the top of a mountain, and that was really fun and entertaining. I never went to Singapore, so I don't have any memory of that. Do you prefer to travel by plane, train, or automobile? Train would be my favorite way, for sure. What do you think of map policies? Is it price fixing? Well, it is price fixing, but it only works if you can enforce it. So some companies can enforce it. Apple, for example, you won't go find Apple computers on sale from anybody, but they can control the supply chain. I'm not a huge fan of it on a personal level. Like when you say, you know, some board game companies have done this. They'll say, you sell our games at this price. When I say some, it's very few. Asmodee did it for a while, Fantasy Flight specifically. You will sell our games at this price, and if you sell them less, we'll no longer sell you the games. They do that as to not devalue the game, and there's definitely an argument on whether it's a good idea or not. And I'm not here to say map pricing is bad, but on a personal level, I don't know that I like it. What's your preferred solo-style game? Adventure, for sure. I would love a Dice Tower t-shirt. Where can I purchase one? You can purchase them online, I believe, if you, let me just check here, if you go to dicetower.com. And on dicetower.com, if you go to the very first tab, I believe it says Dice Tower t-shirts. So yes, or you can just search under geekygoodies.com/Dice Tower. And we have several shirts available there. We'll be probably adding some more in the future. Do you ever theme your outfit or hat for a specific game? Yes. Favorite place you visited that you weren't sure you would like? I don't know. Whenever I visit a place, I'm always sure I'm going to like it. I don't know. I can't think of an answer to that because I'm always sure I'm going to like wherever I go. Will you ever do Testing Tuesday again where you are playing games for the first time, not knowing whether they're good or not? Not right now because we're doing so many other things on Tuesdays, so it would be hard to fit those back in. Have you seen the gameplay video from Fantasy Flight regarding the Descent? I have. We'll be talking more about Descent in a few weeks, I'm sure. What's my favorite, quote-unquote, scary movie? The Others, maybe? I like that one. Favorite time travel story in any medium? Marvel, Endgame. Ever consider expanding Dice Tower Con, such as adding a Dice Tower Midwest? We thought about things in the past, and that was before COVID. Now we're just trying to keep our conventions from all disappearing. How do you get your wife to play more games? I suppose I would say, hey, would you like to play more games? And if she said no, I would say, okay. And if she says yes, then we would play more games. There's no way, I'm not trying to trick her into playing more games. She'll play them or not. If you're married to a wife or husband who doesn't want to play more games, then find somebody else. That's that. There's things my wife likes doing that I'm not interested in doing at all. And I would be annoyed, I guess, if she was always trying to foist it on me. During your deserved week off, well, I want to be clear, I didn't actually take last week off. The Dice Tower as a whole took it off. I came in and recorded and worked on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I did some prep work. I took a little bit of Wednesday off. And then Thursday, Friday, I was working with Dice Tower West. My wife and I sort of got out of gaming during the pandemic. It feels like that would be when you would get into gaming. How's the channel done this last year? Oh, okay. It seemed like we're doing okay. Will we see Catch-A-Paloozas or delay of game shows anytime soon? Yes, the Catch-A-Palooza. No to delay of game. Tim got really busy running the Game Cafe and also running Dice Tower West. So when he has a new game to play, we'll do another delay of game. But Catch-A-Paloozas, yes, for sure. In fact, we have a few scheduled. Will you watch Space Jam 2? It's on HBO Max, so sure. I'll watch it with my kids. Do you think current prices of games will affect the hobby? Yes. Retailers here in Europe ask more since the price went up the last couple months. Even games in pre-order, we have to pay more. Sure. It just means people will probably buy fewer games, which I don't think is a bad thing, to cull out the weak in the games. For crowd surfing or a new video, consider doing a segment about Kickstarter's GameFound games actually being released. No one keeps track of games coming out, but we do. When games are released, we review them and tell you about them. But you're saying you want to know when they're released? First of all, I have no idea. There's like no good hard data on that. Secondly, they're released in swaths. You know, like Ankh from Simon is out. I know people have it. I don't have a copy yet. So I haven't got it. So it's not released yet. Or is it released? Yeah, I just don't want to deal with that. So if you want to know about Kickstarters that have been released, we review them. Was so good to have you on Kidsplaining for the Kid Talk. Yeah, Kidsplaining is a YouTube thing, which I just got an email before I went on here. I hadn't had a chance to look at it yet. That I was a guest on that show a bit ago, and they released that video today, I think. So look up Kid Talk or Kidsplaining. I'll put a link in Facebook at some point. Have I ever bought multiple copies of the same game to expand the player count? Yes, Cosmic Encounter, way back when Avalon Hill had a version of it. Are you still playing Marvel Legendary? You mean the deck building game? Yes. Have you read the fantasy series The Sword of Truth by Terry Goodkind? I haven't read the whole series. It's a long series. I've read a few of them. I got tired of it after a while. The problem I have with The Sword of Truth is it's a pretty interesting universe. So there's a lot of cool things in it. But Terry Goodkind seems to revel in bad things happening to people. There can be a protracted scene of violence and worse enacted on people that will last in, its gruesome details for quite a long time. And I really dislike that. Like, even in the original book, The Sword of Truth is pretty interesting. There's a whole series of chapters where the main character just undergoes torment over and over and over. And I'm like, oh my word. And it's very unnecessary. I really disliked it. It takes me from loving those books to just finding them okay. And then in book 2, was it book 2 or 3? A very similar thing. And it's like, oh, all right, I get it. You like torture, apparently. Do you think Gloomhaven will be #1 on BGG by the year end 2022? By the end of 2022? No, I think something will pass it. What? I have no idea. Do you foresee any slower end to the roll/flip and write release of games in the next few years? Maybe. I don't know. They're easy for publishers to do. So I don't know, and I don't have a prediction of what's popular. Otherwise, I would. Whoops, sorry, I just got thumbs down. I need to say it in a more positive way. I don't know. I always try to think, what did I just say when I get a thumbs down? What was I just talking about? Oh, will Gloomhaven still be #1? And Isaac, you gave me a thumbs down. If you do like my videos, a thumbs up isn't a horrible thing to do, but you don't have to. Let's see here. Where do you store all the games for Dice Tower West? They're in a storage facility right now. I was just there. There's a lot of them. 6,000, actually. We'll talk more about that library in the future. Have you ever been to Kennywood in Western Pennsylvania? I have indeed. I think twice. It's one of the most profound things I remember as a kid, going to Kennywood. Well, okay. Someone says, I'm actually surprised Tom's never been to Hershey Park. Check out Chocolate World. I've been to Chocolate World. I'm not a fool. I have a Hershey's. I am a certified Hershey's chocolate lover, which I have on my wall at my house. It's next to. So my parents gave it to me when I was 13. I don't know. It's just something they got, like a certified Hershey's chocolate lover. So 13, that's 31 and a half years ago. Anyhow, almost 32 years ago. So I got that. When I first was pastor of a church in Korea, I put my ordination up there. I put my college certificate, and I was like, oh, that's all I have. So then I put my Hershey certificate right next to it. And you know what? In my house, at home right now, in my bedroom, I still have the Hershey certificate hanging up. I'm not even a huge chocolate fan. I like chocolate. I don't think it's bad. I don't like it as much as some people do. But I love Hershey's Chocolate World. How do you feel about board game expansions that do not fit in a box? What would you recommend that the publishers do? I mean, I'm assuming you're meaning they don't fit in the main box. Well, I don't know what you can do. It's not like they need to prepare for that. I like when they fit in the main box, but I'm not going to hold that against them. Sometimes the expansion might be big and or the original game fit in the base box beautifully. If you're looking for a starter war game, Undaunted or Memoir 44 would be good. Did the Chief and you reunite in Vegas? No, I did not have time to meet the Chief in Vegas because it was not during one of the Dunlop eras. So if we're going to meet, the time strands, well, there's emergencies, obviously. That's when we use the push-ups. The push-ups should only be used, like I said, in times of emergencies, and we've only used those 17.3 times in the whole time we've known each other. So other than that, we have to wait for specific events to happen, which happens, like, what is it? It's 23 times in a leap year, and it's 26 times in a non-leap year. And it just didn't occur during that. That was not there. And again, it wasn't really a time where we needed to meet each other for that purpose. So we were able to catch up a couple weeks before that, and we talked about different things. He told me a little bit about the problems that the year 2096 was having, and then I don't really know much more about that because then he had to mind wipe me so I wouldn't know. It's a pain in the neck. But for a brief moment of time, it was really fascinating. That's what he told me. I found it fascinating. So it was a good time, but it wasn't anything to do with Vegas. Also, we have those memories from that one, the Vegas merging, the different wars, and I still shudder sometimes thinking about how when the Eiffel Tower came to life, and that was just kind of a pain. That was during the Great Cat Rebellion of '93. I almost want to say good times, but it really wasn't good times. All right, anyway. So, no, we didn't reunite in Vegas. Kind of a bummer that you think everyone who drinks gets loopy. A nice craft beer, a glass of wine during a game is highly enjoyable. Try to play heavy Euro while tipsy sounds miserable. Again, I knew this would happen. I am not criticizing people who drink, and maybe you can drink during a game and you're fine. I'm just saying, in my experience, I played a lot of games with people who were tipsy, a little bit tipsy, and it just wasn't fun. They weren't at the top of their game. They acted sillier than normal, and I found that to be less than fun. Also, spilling a beer on a game, in my opinion, is worse than a glass of water or even worse than a can of Coke. It's an accident waiting to happen. Try to get wine stains out of things. So for that reason, I would not allow them at my games, but this is not some stodgy thing. Go ahead and do it. If it's your house, your rules, I'll survive. And again, don't read into this that that's the case. But I'll tell you this. If you don't drink, you 100% won't get loopy from that, at least. friend of mine from Greece has a job opportunity to come to Miami for work. Any pros and cons, hints, and tips to make a decision? I don't have anything in that regard, although I love the weather here. Are there any live top 10 lists in the pipeline? Yes, we'll be doing one this coming Thursday, actually. Our top 10 casual two-player games. When is Descent coming out? I believe it's the first week of August. I actually have the specific date written down somewhere. Is there a board game series or worlds and board games that you would like someone to make a theme park of? Mine would be a water park themed around Title Blades or a park on Arkham Horror Files. I think you're answering your own question there. That's such a really esoteric question. Like, what theme do you like? And you want them to make an amusement park around that theme. The answer to that question is, I never thought of that, and I don't even think I would have one. I just want good amusement park games. Let's see here. Have I tried the computer version of Shoots and Marbles? No. No, why would I do that? When's the next werewolf game you'll host? Yes, I know. I don't know. I'll post it in the group when I do. Will Snack Talk come back again? No, probably not. We got so much negative response to it that it's just not something I'm going to bring back. People said we were chewing into the microphones. Also like, hey, you're being fat eating on camera. It was one of those ones where I was like, yeah, I don't feel like dealing with all the negativity that comes with it. Did visiting Meepleville give you any desire to open your own gaming cafe in the future? No. I mean, there's some parts of it that might be fun to do, but no. How long do you think it would take you to review every single game in the Dice Tower library? I don't know. We got 2,000 games. I could review 500 a year, so 4 years maybe. I think I reviewed most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. Yes, I've read Skyward. I think Skyward's fine. It's not as good as his other books. If you could get a delivery right now of a super secret, never before revealed game from any game publisher, what publisher would you most want it to be from? Arcane Wonders. Let's see here. Are you going to do a top 10 tier list for all the spirits in Spirit Island? I am not good enough with the game to be able to pull that one off, so no. When you travel alone, are you a mid-seat taker or a window seat sleeper? Mid-seat? Oh, a mid-seat talker. Does anyone ever pick the middle seats? I'll never pick a middle seat, ever. I always pick an aisle seat because I'd like to be able to get out if I need to while the plane's going. Also, I can kind of move out in the aisle a little bit. Yes, my elbow gets hit by the cart often, but small sacrifice to make for having just a little bit extra room. I always take the aisle seat. Oh, I just got a bunch more thumbs up. I didn't notice that. Thank you, everybody. How do you replace missing game components? That's a tough one. It depends on the game. I have generic components for a lot of games, but if it's a critical game, I might have to email the company, and they probably don't have game components to replace it. Then you just have to get a new game. This should go in my FAQ too. How often do you play games just for fun and not because you're reviewing them? Every game I play is for fun. It just is, whether I'm reviewing it or not. And if I'm not reviewing it, I'm thinking when I'm playing it like, oh, maybe I should re-review this. For me, reviewing games is fun. Playing games is fun. It's all the same. How do you deal with someone in a small gaming group that only wants to play one type of game? Well, I mean, if I do a game day, I kind of set the rules for that game day. Like when we do gaming here, I'm like, come, play a game, bring your own game, teach a game, play a game from the Dice Tower library. Or you can play with me where I might be playing a new game. Enjoy me for it. But if someone comes and are like, this is the only game I want to play. In fact, we had a guy in our game group for a while that he played only one game. He came, he set it up, people sat down and played it with him, or they didn't. That's fine, you know. But if that's the only game they want to play, they have to realize they're going to have to make compromises because we may not want to play that game all the time, or maybe ever. Wow, I'm really tired. I feel like I could fall asleep right now. Any tips on playing a game with any of you guys at the September retreat? You mean like how to get into a game with us? Show up early in the morning. That's how you find me anyway. What's my favorite key lime flavored item that's not actually key lime pie? Key lime empanada is unbelievable. It's tie with the key lime pie. That's how good it is. Then, right below those, a key lime shake is really enjoyable. And then below that, key lime cookies I enjoy. Not key lime M&Ms, they're okay. Have you ever been to the Spiel in Essen, Germany? I have been. Are there any good board game memes that you've seen? I see some occasionally. I am really not a meme person. I feel like they're okay, but they just seem to go on and on forever. When visiting Everglades, is there enough to see for more than a one-day visit? Possibly, but one day. Oh, I'm so sorry. I got really tired really fast here. I'll take some caffeine to keep going, I guess. Anyway, is there more than enough to see? Is there more than enough to Is there enough to see for more than one day visit? Yes, there is, but one day you'll get to see a good chunk of it. If you were stranded on an island and the only game left was Monopoly, would you play it? Yeah, sure. But I would also say, hey, we can use these pieces and I would find a way to make another game out of them. You should make a board game about the adventures of the chief. What would be the mechanisms? It would be so complicated. The chief would definitely be a thematic game, obviously, but to make it, we'd have to make it in multiple dimensions to really do it justice, so probably not. How would you know all that if you got mind wiped? No. The chief told me. He said, you asked about this. He then mind wiped me. He then told me that he mind wiped me, so that it's because in the past we've been mind wiped, and then it's like, wait a minute. I have 17 minutes missing here. You keep track of your time. So he told me that as a courtesy. And also, that way I was satisfied. So this is the interesting thing here, folks. So when you're mind wiped, if you ask a question and you get it answered, and then you're mind wiped, the satisfaction stays with you. You say, I don't know what the answer to that question is, but I don't really need to know anymore. It's a really weird thing. Science doesn't tell you this stuff. That's what I'm here for. So I'm guessing Dice Tower cons are dry. Indeed they are. But again, I don't think alcohol belongs in the convention center. Again, go to the convention, go out, and have a good time. I don't actually want you eating food around the games in the Dice Tower convention that much either. In fact, most cons, you can have food. You can have drinks, like water or something. That's it. That's how most cons are, though. How come you didn't see Star Wars until your 20s? Because I said this in, I think, last week. We talked about how my parents didn't have a TV when I was a child. I also didn't go see movies almost ever. So I just never got around to seeing it. I knew it was a cultural phenomenon. You couldn't ignore that. I knew that Darth Vader was Luke's father. I knew the plots of the movies. I also went and read the books of the movies. I just didn't see them until later on. Ah, my childhood was ruined. What board game table do you like best? Listen, Rathscowlers, which is the tables that we have, they sponsor this show in some ways. We have a deal with them. They don't necessarily sponsor the show, but they give us our tables and everything. I like them the best, not just because of anything else. I think they're the best tables. I really enjoy the Rathscowler tables. Hey, Tom, question, new place, how's it working for the group? It's working great. We are getting together often to play games. If you're ever in the Miami area and want to get together with us, email me. I'll let you know if we have a meetup coming. When you just want to relax, what's a favorite movie for you? Like a movie just to watch to relax. Shawshank Redemption probably, because I always enjoy the ending of that movie. Do you feel pressure in a two-player game to play well so that you're a good opponent for the other person? Not particularly. I just play well so we have a good time. In the game Dreaded Retreat, does it need to be a new sealed game or can it be a complete used one? You need to email me and say, this is the game I'm planning on, and I'll tell you if it works or not. Have you ever been approached by Board Game Geek about a partnership? Well, if you noticed, last year we worked together on our the online gaming convention. You'll notice that they also carry our promos in their store. So we have a partnership with BGG, and BGG's promos will be at the Dice Tower booth at Gen Con this year. Please do a top game of each letter of the alphabet. But I've done that twice. I actually did a video series of it a few years ago, which I'll redo at some point. And we just finished it up on the podcast. Listen to the Dice Hour podcast. We did a lot of those. Question from a competitive strongman. Well, cool, first of all. I'm very impressed by what you can do. I seen your profile picture there. You're holding a giant rock. That's cool. I'm always very impressed by that sort of thing. I couldn't do it. If you were to make a strongman themed game, what would the main mechanism be? That I wouldn't know, because I don't really know how that works. Like, again, I don't know. I don't want to condense what you do down to something very generalistic, but I feel like you practice getting strong, and then you do the strong thing. Like, you do different I don't know how that would make a game around that. What's your favorite board game store in the USA? Interesting. I've been to a lot of really good stores. And right now, I feel like if I say one game store over the others, the other people will be annoyed at me. I'm trying to think of all the game stores I've been to. So I'm going to take game cafes out of the equation since you said store. I like that store. I like that store. There's a couple stores that I'm sure are really good. Like, I've heard really good things about some stores in New York and other stores. I've just not been to them. So I'll say, of the stores I've been to, I know I'm going to miss one. There's also that store, I can't remember what it was called, that was in Cincinnati. I really like that store. I'll go with the Portal for now in Connecticut. But I really liked Madness in Dallas. That was a really cool store. But there's also a lot of other good stores I've been to. There's also a possibility that I just completely forgot about an amazing store. How do you identify stray game components? I try to figure it out. If I can't, I ask other people. If you still can't figure it out and it really bothers me, I'll put it online. So I'm trying to get Fantasy Realms. And of course it's out of stock, but I'm wondering if the many Spiel nominees are out of stock when they were up for the award. I don't know. It happens occasionally, but the good news is if it was nominated for the Spiel, that means they'll make a lot more. If it wins, they'll make it. It was nominated. But if it was nominated, they'll make more. You'll be able to get a copy of it eventually. Raiders with expansions versus Architects with expansions. Which one wins for you? Raiders. What's my favorite player color? Purple. Up next, nap time with Tom. Sorry, I know that yawning and stuff isn't good here. I want to get back on schedule and I got things to do, so I tried not to go home and go right to bed. What's the first game you would play with a new game group? Nah, whatever I felt like playing. I always play different games, so I just would pull a new one out and try it. Trader Joe's is key lime popcorn? Maybe. Isn't it noon 1 p.m. in Miami? It is. It's just that I didn't sleep much overnight, and then there's a time change, so it's, you know, again, I'll get over it. I'm trying not to complain. Are you coming up to Orlando to see the PDGA World Championships Disc Golf in 5 weeks? No, I'm not. I'm sure it's fantastic and cool, but I wouldn't go do that. What time did you leave Vegas? The flight left at like 11:47 p.m. So, and then it flew. So 11:47 p.m. is actually like, so that's 2:47 a.m. So we left basically at 3 in the morning and then got here at 7:30. So it was a 4.5-hour flight. Do you have a better couch in the studio? No, we don't. I thought about it. There's not really any good room for that. Thought about putting a hammock on the back porch. Did you ever go to an Asian country for a board game convention? Yes, 2 years ago, I went to one in China. Also, I lived in Korea, so I went to one in Korea, and the first board game convention I ever went to was the convention in KL, Malaysia. Pick one. Odd Jobs Bowler or Indiana Jones Fedora? Ooh, that's a good pick one. I'm going to go with Fedora, and I'll tell you why. Because I still don't understand how Odd Job hasn't accidentally cut his fingers off with his hat. It's a neat idea, but it just seems like you would accidentally cause damage to yourself with it. What's your favorite silly rule in an otherwise serious game? Oh, you'll have to ask me this one when I'm not so tired, because I know I played some games like this. But I'm struggling to think of what they are right now. Oh, no, I know what it is. Ave Caesar. You got to stand up and shout Ave Caesar and throw your coin into the box. Will you come to PAX Unplugged if it happens at this moment in time? We are planning to not go to PAX Unplugged. How many ties do you estimate you own? I want to say 200 maybe. And how do you store them? I have these rotating tie racks. So I have 4 of them in my closet. And then I put the ties in them and they just rotate around. And then I have more ties and fit on them. So then I just have a regular tie hanger for them. What was my favorite food in Korea? Tcg. Are those flowers real or fake? They're fake. They've been in quite a few videos for them to be real. Have you thought about redoing some older top 10 lists that are most likely need to change? Sure, which is why we're redoing one this week. The top 10 casual 2-player games is a list we've already done. Are there any games in Dice Tower West Library that you would like to have in Dice Tower East Library? There might have been a few, but none off the top of my head. What's important for a good, friendly local game store? Nice layout, yes. Friendly staff, yes. Big playroom, yes. A local game store, for a good one, it needs to stand out. It needs me to want to go there over shopping online. So what's the reasoning for that? So usually a cool layout, a demos, or at least opening. Like, I went to one store and they had a game under a glass case that was open and set up, and you're like, ooh, that looks neat. A good selection of both games and game-related stuff. Friendly, welcoming lighting, nice decorations. Do you think it should be possible for someone to win by a landslide in the game? Or do you think it's a better game if the games are always close, even if someone plays poorly? Nah, I don't know. I kind of like both in different situations. Have you had the key lime Kit Kat? Says Bruce. I don't remember. I think I did, but I think it wasn't memorable enough. Are you interested in the He-Man series coming out on Netflix this week? I'll probably watch it. Looking for my game group's first worker placement game recommendations. So there's a lot of good ones. Maybe Lords of Waterdeep. That's a fun start. Nice one. Start one. Good one to start with. Mom has a super chat. Wanted to take a moment to thank you. Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you very much. Nick has given me permission to end the chat early to take a nap. I'll be fine. Is anyone going to the spiel from the Dice Tower in any capacity? I don't think so, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll be there the following year. Another super chat. Current favorite two-player game to play with a non or new gamer? Listen, I'm not going to tell you because I actually haven't made my list yet. There's a lot of good ones out there, and that's literally our top 10 list we're doing this coming Thursday. We'll do it live here. Top 10 casual two-player games. This would fit in that. So what's a game to play with someone who's a non or a new gamer, in my case, or even someone who's a gamer, but casual. Anybody can play them two-player games. Thursday at 2 p.m. We'll be doing that. Favorite non-board game subreddit? Well, let me look, because I actually have these here in my bookmarks. Probably Today I Learned. Today I Learned. But for entertainment, sometimes I read the Beggars Can't Be Choosers folder. What faction did you hate playing the most against for Wonderland's War? Alice's. Do you feel like big box stores getting exclusive for early releases is good or bad for the hobby? That's fine for the hobby. Those big box stores having it, it's great. I'm glad people can do that. Bridezillas? Maybe I'll check that out. Yeah, sometimes I like reading these stories of things that happen to other people. What would be the best pitch car sets to get if you were looking to set up a pitch car event for kids? I'd get 2 base pitch car sets. I would get 1 or 2 of the long straights because those are really useful. And then I would get the jump, which I want to say is expansion 2, but it might be expansion 1, whichever one comes with the jump. That's what I would get, and you got a good setup right there. You don't need all the other stuff. The other stuff's fun and useful, but it's not necessarily. 2 base sets, and then the jump. And though, again, the long straights kind of take the place of the base set stuffs. When playing Mario Kart, which character would you pick? I almost always play Donkey Kong in Mario Kart. I don't know why. I find it amusing. I like playing him. Sometimes I'll play Waluigi if he's there, or Wario. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed 1 o'clock. and I am tired. But I got some more things to review and stuff to do. I don't know if I'll do much reviewing today because I don't want to yawn in the middle of my reviews. But I got things that are coming your way. Thank you, everybody, for watching the Dice Tower. Lots of cool stuff. So, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Q&A with me here on the Dice Tower. It's a little out of it today, but I'll try to be more awake next time. Until then, see you guys later.